What is going on, everybody? Today we are back, and today it is time for episode number 2, Soul of the SKOL. Yes, again, unfortunately, we are on my channel again. I'll explain it a little bit, but I don't know how much you guys really care that much. But I'll still say it anyways. Last week when we were here, we learned we need 50 subscribers. As you probably saw, our desperate pleas on all of our social measures that we need 50. So we got 50. Thought we'd be fine, but then lo and behold, we needed to wait 24 hours. Okay, so that means we should be fine by this week. Well, I was testing it yesterday to make sure we were going to be good to go for today. Still says we're ineligible. So I Googled it, and it says it takes like a week to update on mobile, which is kind of dumb, but it's not under our control. So there's nothing that we could do about it. I'd like to say hopefully next week we'll be on the other one, but I don't want to say that every week, and then it's not. Then I just look like a buffoon. So hopefully next week though it'll be okay and it'll be back on the other one. But it's this isn't under. I just had like a verbal seizure for a minute there, but this is not under our control that this happened. So thanks for bearing with us, even despite the problems we have. Also, we would like to send a shout out to a person we know very well that Sam will be shouting out beginning right now.
So we just want to give a shout out right now to Jack Spanier. Congratulations on your commitment to play baseball at the University of Minnesota. Go Gophers. Congratulations, Jack.
Yes, of course. So, with that being said, I don't think there's anything we need to preface. For you guys, I'll share a little bit about what we're going to do, but I'm going to leave it vague today. We're going to be starting. I made a mock schedule. We're going to run through, pick wins and losses, talk about the opponents today. And then after that, we are going to do a new segment relating to predicting things. Also, there's going to be a surprise during this episode. So you guys better stay tuned. Better keep your phones ready. That's all I got to say about it at this point. So that being said, I think we are ready to just jump right into it. As you all know, actually maybe you don't all know, but usually the NFL schedule comes out it's like the second Thursday of May or something. It's always around mid-May, and it's always on a Thursday. So with that said, it's only March 26th, so it has not come out yet. So I specifically have created a mock schedule that we're going to run through, pick wins and losses. So with that being said, I'm just going to kick us off right now. For our first game, week numero uno, I have at home against the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. This was a really interesting game for me. I thought, even though it's still unlikely, if Kirk Cousins were to be traded, I still think San Francisco is the most likely destination. It just makes sense to me, even though I still don't think it's going to happen. But I thought, imagine if Kirk Cousins were to be traded. Imagine a Week 1 San Francisco reunion. Imagine how crazy that would be, though. At US Bank Stadium, prime time, right out the gate. That would be really cool.
That'd be completely sold out easily with like a month in advance. That'd be just a crazy game to be at.
Yeah, with that, for sure, if Kirk Cousins were there, even though, again, like I said, it's very unlikely that happened. But it does make sense. But even if Kirk Cousins isn't traded there, I still think it'll be a great game. With Brock Purdy, they made the NFC Championship last year, and it's interesting to see how their quarterback situation is going to play out, especially with Trey Lance. I don't want to call him a bust because we haven't seen him, so we don't know he's bad. But he was former number 3 pick, and we just haven't seen anything out of him. And then we got Brock Purdy, who got hurt. I believe he's tore his UCL, I believe is what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In the NFC title game. So who knows if he'll even be ready by week 1. If I bet my chips, I don't think he actually will be. But maybe there's been more recent reports than what I know. But either way, I think this is going to be a really good game. A team that they were led by a 7th-round rookie last year, and yet they were still very successful. But I think a lot of that, to me, comes from the team they built. They don't need a good quarterback to be a functioning team, which I think is just how they built their team. So no matter what, no matter who's under center week 1 for San Francisco, if this were the game against Minnesota, if those two teams played week 1, it'd be a great game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the Vikings will start off strong with a win there. I believe it's going to be a one-score game, and it's going to come down to the wire. But I think the Vikings will be coming off strong and be able to take it away, especially with the new defense coordinator. I think he'll be able to get everything down, and I think our defense will be able to stop their offense, and I believe our offense can tear their defense apart. So I think it's going to be a win, just one-score game. I think it's going to be a good game all around.
I'm going to take the opposite on that. I don't think that the Vikings will be able to pull off a win against the 49ers in week 1. I think that their offense is just too what's the word for it? Complex.
Yeah.
They have a receiver that can play running back. They have a running back that can play receiver. I mean, all their guys are so versatile, they can play anywhere on the field, right?
Yeah.
Their offense was outstanding last year, even with Brock Purdy at the helm. With Trey Lance at the helm, they can start running more option stuff. I mean, their offense is going to be tough to stop. Our defensive line, I think, is going to be all right. Our linebackers will struggle, though, especially if Troy Reader is in a starting position.
Yeah, I don't think under any circumstance Trey Lance is going to be the starter there. I think their front office has just moved on from him. They're mentally moved on. I think they're going to be looking to sell him no matter what. So whether it's Brock Purdy, and if it's not Brock Purdy, I think they're going to look for probably a veteran option. I think they're going to trade. I was gonna make a Sam Bradford reference, but that wasn't the same. He was traded there because of injury right at the beginning of the season to Minnesota. That was. But I think they'd look for a veteran quarterback rather than just rolling with Trey Lance. I think they just kind of gave up on him almost. I had to say. Otherwise, if they didn't give up on him, why would they start Brock Purdy over Trey Lance? Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I think they've just moved on. I'm going to go with a loss in this game. I just think, again, quarterback definitely plays a factor. Depends who is at quarterback, but more than likely, it's either going to be Brock Purdy playing, or I think they're going to find a competent quarterback. They're not just going to roll with a no-name dude until Brock Purdy's ready to play. I'm going to, give them a loss, like I said. I just think it's a tough game, very good team. Like we said, you don't need a quarterback to be successful there. To me, their Mike Shanahan offense almost reminds me maybe of how the Brian Flores defense is going to be run here in Minnesota, where it's this player isn't necessarily just going to do this job. Everyone can do everything, just like we see with Kyle Juszczyk, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, all the dudes there. You're not just this. You can do everything. You're like a rainbow almost. So I think that pretty much sums it up for the week 1. With that, I think we are ready to move on to week number 2. Week number 2, I have a road game at the Carolina Panthers, Bank of America Stadium, 12 o'clock Central Time game. This is going to be the Adam Thielen reunion. Take it away. What do you guys think?
No, I think we will be able to run away with that because the Panthers. Who's even their quarterback right now?
Well, it's Andy Dalton as of right now.
Yeah, I mean they're probably gonna. They got the first round pick. They're gonna draft quarterback first round. I just don't see a rookie quarterback winning his first game against the Vikings, who last year. I mean, I just don't see him win. I think we're gonna take that away fairly easily.
Now, for me, I struggle with that one a little bit. The Panthers are going to have a strong offense next year. They have Miles Sanders at running back. They have DJ Chark and Adam Thielen as their receivers. I think they're going to have a strong team, and my thought sounds like they're looking to draft Bryce Young at this point. I thought they were going to draft CJ Stroud originally. I think he's better anyways. But sounds like they want Bryce Young. So with Bryce Young at the helm of that offense, I mean, he's a small, shifty dude with a strong arm. I think that they're going to be a big play team. However, I don't think that they're going to be able to beat the Vikings. I think they're going to be too discombobulated, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Panthers are in a really interesting roster situation and just team situation with how they are. Since they traded for the first overall pick, now they got this ammo. Either they can trade it away for stuff. Either way, though, I feel like they got fleeced by the Bears. So if they trade it away, they're not going to get the same compensation they gave the Bears. So I think it's going to be a lose situation if they traded it away. But even if they select as the number 1 pick, are they truly going to be all in on Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, whatever guy it is? Or is there going to be questions within their front office of one guy saying, I like him better, the other guy saying, I like him better? I think that if that happens is when they're going to look to trade that first overall pick, unless they're all in on one guy. But with that being said, I'm going to take Minnesota in this game. I like the Panthers on paper a lot, but this is a game that I think if it was late in the season, if I would have put this late in the season, I would have been a lot more prone to putting an L. Because it's early in the year, it's possible that they're not going to have all their ducks in a row quite yet. again, with all their players, DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, Andy Dalton, and everyone else on that team. I just think that early in the season is still a period of figuring things out. For every team, it is. So that's why I think it's going to be a win for Minnesota. But if it was later in the season, then I would look I'd shift maybe more. Not saying they would lose, but I'd look more clearly at an L for that game. So that's what I think about that one. So with that said, we are now going to move into week number 3. For week number 3, I have a road game at the Denver Broncos, 2 road games in a row, and it is a late afternoon game, 3:05 or 3:25, whatever, same difference. On the road at Denver. It's going to be a really interesting game.
Yeah, I think we're gonna run away with that. I think we're gonna, if this is the true schedule, I think we're gonna start off 3-0. I mean, that's probably unlikely to happen because it's the Vikings. You never know with them. But I think the Broncos will be an easy one with what Russell Wilson having more bathrooms and touchdowns last year. I think it'd be fairly easy to win that week 3 next year.
Yeah, I agree with you, Big Lou. I mean, that's the Broncos in one word suck. I mean, they've done nothing over the past couple of years. They made a horrible trade for a dying quarterback. I mean, they've got nothing there. I don't think that they're going to be able to pull away that win at all.
I won't definitely say that I like the Broncos by any means. I don't think Big Lewis said they're an easy win. I'm gonna give it a win, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's an easy win. I think they're definitely gonna be better with Sean Payton, even though I mean their whole team right now is kind of in shambles. But I think they're in a better spot with Sean Payton than Nathaniel Hackett. I think we can all agree Nathaniel Hackett's first year was an absolute first and only year, absolute dumpster fire. So I think they're going to be better with Sean Payton, but again, it's early in the year. They're also not a great team. Again, I've never been on the Russell Wilson, super huge on the Russell Wilson fan. I don't know if call it fan wagon, whatever. I actually openly spoke out against the trade back when it happened on my channel. I said the Broncos are giving all this away for a quarterback that's not. I don't think he's an All Pro anymore. Like it's almost the same with Aaron Rodgers too. He was good, very good for a long time. Same with Russell Wilson, but he's not. He's not. How do I say it? He's not like a top tier guy anymore. Russell Wilson, and I think that for Aaron Rodgers as well. Neither of them are top tier guys. So yeah, I'm gonna give this game a victory. I don't think it'll be an absolute blowout victory, but it should be a fairly comfortable victory with not too many snags. But so yeah, that is my thoughts on the Denver Broncos as well as all of ours. That moves us into week number 4. I have them hosting the Chicago Bears to open their divisional slate at home at US Bank Stadium. Normal 12 o'clock noon Central game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings could start off 4-0, but I think they're gonna take this away, and I think they're gonna win just a home game against the Bears. The Bears kind of had a not very good season last year. I think they're still trying to rebuild. They've gotten some new pieces in their offense and defense. I still think we will be able to take it away, especially at home in the Vikings atmosphere. I believe we can take that away, and it'll probably be a close game, but I believe we can take that as a dub.
See, the Bears are definitely going to be better this year, you know, with the Justin Fields to DJ Moore connection. That's going to be tough to stop, right? But I think the Vikings are still going to pull away the win on this one just because the Bears, they're still rebuilding. You know, in a couple of years, maybe 3-4 years, they're going to be a tough opponent. They're going to be a very good team if their organization does things right. But right now, I like the Vikings in this game.
Yeah, I also like the Vikings here too. It's early in the season, like I've said for like every game so far, but also we do have to keep in mind it's in Minnesota, which is important. Maybe later in the year, I'm gonna look more toward the Bears in the road game that I have. Well, we'll see when we get there, but I like the direction the Bears are heading. Their philosophy is great, and again, Vikings would be doing this had they hired Ryan Poles as GM. They were looking to hire him before the Bears snatched him up, and now, so if the Vikings would have hired Ryan Poles, they'd be in this position. They would have sold everything to set up for the future. So I like Minnesota in this game. The Bears could be decent. I'm not going to say they could be good this year. They could be decent. They could be better. I like Justin Fields, no matter what people say about him. He can work on passing. He can get better. He's got the tools to be a great quarterback. I think he's got the tools. He just has to be able to figure it out, in my opinion. And I mean, if you look at their offense, it's not that bad, especially they got Darnell Mooney, who I like a lot. Chase Claypool, you can say what you want about him. It was bad trade, but as far as a player, he's not awful, I'd say. And then they got DJ Moore, and they got all this draft capital from the Panthers when they absolutely fleeced him in the trade. So I like the direction the Bears are heading, but I don't like the Bears in this game. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings to start the year 3-1, I believe. With that said, we are now going to continue heading on week number 5. We are at now our second divisional game in a row. It's on the road in a place this team got smoked last year, the great Lambeau Field. October 8th at the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field in a late afternoon game. Probably on CBS. Maybe it'll get called by Jim Nantz again. Maybe they'll have the Jim Nantz curse where they've lost like 8 straight games with him doing the broadcast on TV. But yeah, you guys got some thoughts on that one?
So I know the Packers, I don't think they're going to be a very good team this year. With Rodgers leaving, they're kind of with their new quarterback, Jordan Love, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, Jordan Love. I don't think he'll be able to run the offense as effectively as Rodgers did. I think he'll struggle to start, and I don't think like the chemistry between their team is there. So I think it'll be a close game, but I do think the Vikings will lose just because like the atmosphere of Lambeau really is just going to get to them, and they're not going to be able to perform as well as they should, and they're going to fall to the Packers. I'm guessing it's going to be a close game, but I do think they are going to lose to the Packers.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Big Blue. I'm also going to take the L on that one. I'm thinking that the Packers are going to be an okay team next year. I think that they're going to beat us at Lambeau, just simply like you said, because of the atmosphere. Vikings' record at Lambeau Field is not good. It is quite atrocious, actually.
I'll see if we can actually find some stats on that.
And one more thing for the people watching, like we said before, please text our number. Do not call our number. We won't respond to a call. But if you text, I'll respond every single time. So just putting that out there. I just got a call from somebody. But yeah, we're not responding to calls at this time.
All right, so maybe Big Blue here can find some stats about how the Vikings have performed at Lambeau.
This is just like the Vikings Green Bay matchup for the last two. So in 2013, we actually tied them at Lambeau. 14, we lost. In 16, we beat them.
I remember them tying in another year too.
Yep.
So that was the Adam Thielen.
Yep.
The
At Green
Taiwan
Bay,
touchdown.
29-29 in 2018.
I remember that one.
Let's see there.
Okay, so the person that just called left a voicemail. Say, hi, I just want to know what your opinion on Deshaun Watson's recent assault charges were.
I don't have.
It's not Vikings related. We're not going to voice our opinions at this time.
No. I was gonna share some, but I don't want to get too controversial. So maybe another day. Sorry, but we're not gonna answer that one.
Since 2013, we've won. It was 3 games at Lambeau and tied 2, and then lost the rest.
So that'd be 5. So they're 3-5-2 over the past 10 at Lambeau.
Since 2013, the Vikings record against Green Bay is 8-10-2.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a loss to the Vikings here. I think the Packers, they're not a great team. They're not going to be a great team, especially if they trade Aaron Rodgers away. You can say, well, they are going to. And I'm going to counter with, I don't know if I'd jump ship that quickly. I don't want to get too controversial here, but I think there's a legitimate opportunity that an Aaron Rodgers to Jets trade, it's not just going to be that smooth. That's what I have to say about that. Either way, though, no matter who it is, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, I think the Packers are going to be able to win this game. Vikings just historically haven't played super well at Lambeau. Packers are a tough opponent, tough atmosphere to play in. I just like Green Bay in this one, as do these guys as well. That moves us into, I believe, week number 6 we are at now. It is a home game against the Los Angeles Chargers, our second primetime game, Monday Night Football. This is a really interesting one. We got Justin Herbert, product of the 2020 NFL Draft, going against Justin Jefferson, another product of the 2020 NFL Draft. This, I think, is going to be a fun game no matter where in the season and when on the slate it is. I think a Chargers-Vikings game is going to be a pretty entertaining one.
So I think with it being a primetime game, you got the Kirk Cousins not being great at primetime, in addition to the Vikings always choking and blowing a game pretty big each year. I think they're going to get blown away by the Chargers here, even though it's at home. I just think they're going to get blown away here. Just have an off day, whatever, and just get destroyed this game.
I have a really strong feeling that the Chargers are going to lean on Austin Eckler for a very strong run game.
If he's still there, though, he's requested to trade out of there.
I think he's still going to be there.
Well,
I have a pretty good feeling he's still going to be there. But regardless, if I'll say if Austin Eckler is still there, then I feel like they're going to lean on him to get a strong run game going. And let's be honest, our run game last year was not very good at all. I think it'll be better this year, but I mean, for them, I mean, you run the ball, and then you throw it over our heads to Mike Williams or to Keenan Allen. So they have a pretty lethal offense. I'm pretty worried about that one. I'm going to take the L for the Vikings on that one.
I am also going to give a loss to Minnesota. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout game, but I just feel like it's a tough. Maybe the odds are going to be stacked against him in this game. I just think the Chargers are a pretty good team, especially, I mean, on paper and in actual like eye test, they're a pretty good team. Except for that Jags game, I lost like $60 over that game. But aside from that, I still think the Chargers they're just a good team. They got so many weapons, especially if Austin Eckler's still there. Justin Herbert, great quarterback for sure. I like the Chargers in that game. Prime time, the lights are going to be amped up. Is Kirk Cousins going to show up? We'll see. But yeah, I'd give a victory in the Chargers in this game. That moves us into week number 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that 8? 7. My bad. At the Atlanta Falcons. Normal noon game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on October 22nd.
Say at US Bank.
No. Nope. It's a road game. It's a road game.
Falcons. I think the Vikings are going to be on a losing streak here. I think they're going to be in a slump from the first game, Monday night game. They're still going to be in a slump. I think they're just going to fall to the just history of the Vikings just being. They got a Monday night football game, and then you said this was a Sunday night game, right?
This is This is just normal time.
Yeah, I think with the shorter week there, they're going to be distraught from their loss to Chargers, and I think they're not going to perform well. I think they're going to fall to the Falcons here, even though they probably should beat them. I believe they're going to fall to them and lose.
So I'm going to take the opposite on that one. I think the Vikings are going to crush the Falcons. The Falcons, they haven't really done much over the next year. They got a pretty bad quarterback situation right now. Desmond Ridder, I think, is their best option at quarterback. And I mean, Drake London has been really good over the last year, but I don't think that they're going to be good enough to take the Vikings on this one. So I'm going to move the Vikings up to 4-3 on that one.
Yeah, I don't think at this current point of the Falcons, I don't think they're going to be a super competitive team right now. I just don't quite think they have the tools to be able to be a truly playoff caliber type of a team. So I would give the Minnesota Vikings a victory in this game. I think they're going to bounce back in this one. But following this game, I got 2 tough ones ahead. So buckle up. With that being said, I should also say, if you guys care, we did not pre-plan wins and losses. So we are actually doing this on the fly. We're picking wins and losses. None of us said this is going to be the record. So we're all going on the fly right now.
Joel never shared the schedule with us, so we're kind of just going this on the fly. He created this himself, and this is the first time me and Sam have been hearing what his prediction for the schedule is.
Indeed. So that is going to move us into our next game. Now I believe it's week 8 or 9, one of the above.
8.
It is week number 8. It is a toughie Thursday night football game at home against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to start this one off since I normally go last. I'm just going to go first this time. Why not? Spoiler, yeah, this is going to be an L here. I just like Kansas City. Bro, there's just such a good team. I don't even care who's on the team. I don't care who's around the team. If Patrick Mahomes is that quarterback, he's going to lead them to wins. And he's still going to be the quarterback on October 26th of 2023. So this is going to be a victory for the Chiefs. Very tough game. Odds stacked against Minnesota. Give me Patrick Mahomes all day in a primetime game.
Yeah, as much as I think the Vikings have a chance there, I think Patrick Mahomes is just too good of a quarterback, and the Chiefs are just too good of a team for the Vikings to handle at this stage. I think it's going to be a close game, maybe a 1-2 score game, but I do believe the Vikings will fall to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I'm going to take the loss with you guys there. The Chiefs are just too versatile. They're too good, in my opinion. I mean, you're looking at the Super Bowl champions right now. Or, sorry, former Super Bowl champions, Super Bowl contenders this year. But, I mean, I think they're just too good of a team. I actually think they're going to have a really great run next year and possibly a chance at a Super Bowl.
Yeah. No matter what, I don't even care who's on the Chiefs. If Mahomes is on their roster, they're going to be a competitive team. If Andy Reid's coaching them, they're going to be a competitive team. So with that being said, that moves us into our bye week. So we are going to share each of our records, give a little status update. Where are we all at right now?
Right now, I'm at 4-4. I have the Vikings winning against the Bears, Falcons, Panthers, and Broncos, and losing at the Packers and at home against the Chargers, Chiefs, and 49ers. Honestly, I think that people, if this is our schedule, I think people are going to be very disappointed in the first half of the season.
Very tough first half.
It's an incredibly tough schedule regardless. I mean, on top of the Packers, Chargers, Kansas City 49ers, we also have the Eagles and the Bengals away. So those are going to be tough games too. I don't really see the Vikings winning those ones. But it's either we get a worse team or an absolutely amazing team for every single game, So there's not a whole lot of middle of the road in the Vikings schedule, but yeah, I think that they're going to do better than what we think in the first half of the season.
Yeah, me and Sam here actually have the exact same so far. We're both 4-4. Victories against at home Chicago and then the Falcons, Panthers, and Broncos. And we both have losses in Green Bay and then against the Chargers, KC, and 49ers. So far, we're at the exact same spot. I don't really care what you think. I don't think they're going to be a 13-4 team next year. I think it's fair, whether it's record-wise, play-wise, no matter what. They're not going to be 13-4. Maybe I think they're going to be scratching the playoffs around a 7 seed. If I think they're going to definitely take a step back. Roster-wise, they're going to take a step back. Record-wise, they're going to take a step back. But then maybe that means they'll load up more for the future, which is what I would hope. Maybe they can push it in for 24-25, maybe. But yeah, it seems like so far me and Sam are on the same page, and us and Big Lou, for the most part, are also on the same page.
Yeah, I agree with you that the Vikings are not going to be a 13-4 team again. I think they're barely going to get in the playoffs, hit that wild card. But I do have them as 4-4 as well. But I do have them different than those two. I have them beating the 49ers the first game, but then falling to the Falcons after a tough Monday night loss. I mean, there's not much to say about it. We got a tough schedule, and I just hope the Vikings will be able to do decent this year.
Mm-hmm. So currently the bye week, what week do I have as the bye?
Week 9.
I think 9.
Week 9.
Yeah, something like that. So week 9 is the bye week. Also, the next thing I'm about to say pertains 0% to football, but I do have to point out the fact that Big Lou currently has 868 emails on Outlook.
That's a school email. Who checks their school email?
Fair enough.
I do, but I don't get 868 emails. How do you get so many?
I don't even know what's in it. Let's look. Adobe Photoshop, School.
Oh, it's all just spam.
Yeah, it's all school. Like all School G notifications go through there.
I have 8,800 on my personal. Oh my God. I don't open emails at all. Most of them are from colleges.
What, is it Outlook or what app? Or what?
Just the mail app.
Oh, like what service is it through? Like Gmail or
iCloud.
Okay.
So it's like Shields, Men's Warehouse. There's a bunch of colleges: UMN, Morris,
Yeah, I get emails from colleges all the
SJU.
time.
How many
Northern
unread emails
State.
you get?
Not that many, probably. Mostly end up in my spam, or I just delete them right away. I don't get a whole lot. All right. Thank you for listening to that quick interjection about the number of emails we all have. If you guys have a lot of emails, you can let us know in the chat, I guess. How many emails do you have?
Let us know on our phone number.
Yeah, you're right. Do that.
We're also going to go back to that now. We are going to give you people an opportunity to be a part of this podcast. Now, what you are going to do if you're selected is you're going to just give us a prediction or two, right? You're just
Well,
we'll
do two.
We'll give you'll get two predictions that you'll get to make, similar to ours at the end of this episode. All you have to do right now is be the first one to text our number with your name. The first person to do that will get to be a part of the live stream next week. We will call you and you will be on the live stream. So go ahead, text right now, get those texts rolling in, and at the end of the podcast, I will announce who the person that will be on our podcast is.
That's a good idea. Wait until the end. Make these people.
Yeah.
Make these people wait.
Send in the text the whole time.
So yeah, as you guys obviously know, we haven't done the segment yet, so you're gonna be confused. Like, what predictions? What are we doing? Well, wait till the end of the podcast, and then you'll understand it because we haven't done the segment yet. But once we get to the end, you'll understand it, and it'll make sense what you have to do between now and then, and so you're prepared. With that being said, does anyone else have any interjections before we begin this second half?
Well, I do. So I got a text from Jared. It says, "Hi, this is Jared. If the Vikings end up drafting Will Levis at quarterback, 23rd, where he is projected, is that a W or an L?"
I actually think I might have talked about this a little bit ago.
You did.
I would take it as I would support it. I haven't watched a lot of Will Levis tape, so I don't know how actually good he is. But if he's being graded in the first round, that means he obviously has upside. He has people that like him, draft experts that like him. But what I wouldn't support necessarily, well, actually I don't know. I'm gonna change it and say I still would. Even if they traded for him, or whether they just sticked and picked. Would that be right? Sticked and picked? Stuck and picked. That was hard to say. Even if they stuck and pick at 23, I'd support it. Honestly, I'm gonna talk about Lamar Jackson a little bit too, because it's actually kind of perfect what I'm about to tie in. Even if they traded up, I would support it now. I was about to say I wouldn't, but I don't like when this is how I said it last week, is when you have all these quarterbacks and people complain Kirk Cousins, if we're looking for a new quarterback, they need to be better than Kirk Cousins right now. Like, why would we get rid of him? He's a decent quarterback. But to me, how are you going to be able to get a Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes? We got all these quarterbacks on a dartboard here. We got some bad ones. Sure, we got Kellen Mond. We got Tavares Jackson. We got Christian Ponder. But there's also Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Bryce Young, I guess I'll throw on there, even though we haven't seen him in the NFL yet. But you're never going to be able to hit the dartboard with those triple 20s and the triple 19s and the bullseyes if you never throw the dart. That's how I see it. So even it's definitely dangerous for them to do something like this. And this is where I'm going to tie into Lamar Jackson. Last week I said I was opposed to Lamar Jackson, but the more I think about it, the more I realize I would be okay with them taking a shot, even though it would screw their salary cap 100%. At least they're taking a shot and not just willing to say we're going to be an okay team, but nothing more. I would applaud them being willing to take a shot for greatness. Sometimes you have to take a step back for two steps ahead. To me, they've never taken a step back, but they've also never really taken two steps ahead either. So last week I would have been opposed, but the more I think about it, the more I'm in favor of it. Them drafting a quarterback, whether it's at 23 or even if they trade it up, they take a shot. I'm in for it. I like it.
So I am going to go the opposite on that. I don't like Will Levis at all. For all these 4 season stats that I'm about to read off, he didn't crack 50th in college football for any of them. He threw for 2,400 yards last year, 71st, 19 touchdowns, 50th, 10 interceptions, and 60.9 QB rating out of, 170 something?
isn't QBR QBR isn't that wait what did you say his QBR is?
60.9.
It's just out of 100, I believe.
Is it?
Passer rating is 158.3. That might be what you were thinking of there.
That's QBR
Yeah,
possible.
it's
yeah,
out of
yeah. I
100.
was thinking about passing grade.
Passer rating goes from 0 to 158.3.
That's my bad. But yeah, I mean, none of his stats are outstanding in the past 2 years. He also has 11 rushing touchdowns, and so, I mean, he hasn't shown anything outstanding, you know. And that's the thing for me. I want a splash player. I want a player like Bryce Young, who's throwing 36 touchdowns or however many it was. I'm gonna look that up right now.
I do think the Vikings should take a quarterback at some point in time this year, so they can put them in like the making of a good one to have as a backup to Kirk Cousins and maybe see the field a little bit, get a little experience this year, but that we have him and we can use him even if we part ways with Kirk Cousins next year or when we part ways with Kirk Cousins, we have a good young quarterback there.
Big Lou just made a
back us up.
perfect point that I'm actually going to really quick just bank on. He said they should. He kind of alluded to they should draft one this year rather than next year, and I agree on that because so far all signs point to Kirk Cousins not being the quarterback in 2024. I mean, if you just look at the writing on the wall, it seems to me like they're saying this is going to be your last year. We're getting ready to move on. That's what I think this front office is. So I think it would definitely make the most sense if they not necessarily trade, but if they got a quarterback, a young quarterback specifically now, so he can sit for a year behind Kirk Cousins, kind of mentally prepare, rather than them just throwing him into the fire week 1 of next year. I think if they drafted a quarterback, they'd be better off doing it this year than they would next year.
So Bryce Young's stats on here: 3,300 passing yards, 32 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and a QBR of 86.2. And his rushing stats are not. Oh, they're actually pretty good. 49 attempts for 185 yards and 4 touchdowns. His longest was 63 yards.
You have so we talked about Will Levis here. Now I have an idea. What about Anthony Richardson? Because we've known he isn't the greatest passer, but he's got the tools. He's like the Cam Newton reincarnation. So how would you feel if they were to get Anthony Richardson? He hasn't necessarily proven greatness, but he's got a lot of upside. And maybe Will Levis has upside, maybe he doesn't. But to me, you're banking on what potential could they have. Because to me, Anthony Richardson isn't elite, but also Will Levis isn't elite either. So what's really the big difference between them? You see what I'm saying with that?
Well, for me, with Anthony Richardson, we're a passing team. We need a great passer as our quarterback. That's not where Anthony Richardson is at. That's not where Will Levis is at. We need someone who can get the ball to Justin Jefferson.
That's all
we need.
I think they need that is true, but I think they kind of need a somewhat mobile quarterback, I should say, because if you look at Kirk Cousins, he's not the most mobile guy out there, and I think either A is you have Kirk Cousins, but you build a great offensive line, or B, or I shouldn't necessarily say Kirk Cousins, a guy like Kirk Cousins, or B is you kind of roll with that bad offensive line they've historically had for like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
But they get a mobile quarterback, or at least a somewhat mobile quarterback that it doesn't show and it's not quite as big of a problem. So I think in a way, it's kind of a horse apiece, I guess. Yeah.
Well, if you look at the mobile quarterbacks, they're probably not going to be as like big or strong as Kirk Cousins in the pocket. How are they going to handle getting hit so many times with the offensive line we have? Are they going to handle all that hits as well as Kirk Cousins has been? Or are they just going to fall and get injured and then we're SOL?
Yeah. All right, I got one more thought before we head into the second half of the schedule, and that is, how would you feel if Will Levis slipped like Malik Willis did last year into the third round? If like he was available around like maybe the late second into the third round, then how would you feel about that?
Trading up to get him?
Well, just
because we have
getting him.
The Vikings have a late third round pick, correct?
I know they have a third. I don't know when in the third. It's 87th pick. It's the 87th pick.
So let's see.
That's
so
late.
That
is late.
That is late. Yeah.
Okay. So they
there's
probably would have to
96.
trade to get him. If this were to play out, how would you feel about if he was slipping? Then how would you feel if they traded?
depends on if we get one in the first or second round. Like if we depends on how we pick it.
A
and
quarterback?
everything.
If we
Are you
don't
saying-
get Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, we're not going to get a quarterback in the first or second round, and we don't have a second round pick regardless.
Mhm.
So I think if he were available at 87, I would say yes. Anthony Richardson or Will Levis.
Anthony Richardson definitely won, but you never know. Like, no one really saw a whole lot of a Malik Willis big slide happening, and then it did on draft night, and he dropped all the way into the third round.
There were some people projecting him at 3.
Yeah, he was very highly touted, and then he just never went off the board. So, yeah, that was just the idea. Is if he was there, what would you think about that? So, anyone else got any last thoughts, or else we're gonna continue?
I think we
Or-
should continue on our picks.
I think we should kind of zoom through that. We're coming up on an hour already.
Yeah, we're,
All right.
we're coming up around 40
So-
minutes right now. So
On this one, for the second half of the schedule, do you just want to say who you think, or who, where, and then Big Lou, me, you, and we just say win or loss, just so we can get through.
Yeah,
it.
we can just keep it. We can keep it a lot more
Yeah, we can get
dumbed
to our-
down. All right, so this leads us into week number 10, I believe we said.
Yes, week 10,
Week number 10 is another tough one
No.
at 9.
game 9, week 10.
yes,
Okay.
game 9 weekends.
But week number 10 after the bye week of week 9, November 12th, this is going to be a fun game at the Cincinnati Bengals on the road, late afternoon game. This is going to be a fun one, especially if the Bengals roll out with the white Bengal uniforms. Those things are fly. That's going to be a really good game.
You know, I think this one after the bye week, the Vikings may have a chance to squeak this out, but I think just with the Bengals being as good as they can be, I do believe they will fall. I believe this will be a close game, a very good game for the Vikings, but I do think they will fall to Joe Mixon and the Bengals.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I think that it's going to be a loss for the Vikings on that one. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, that group is just outstanding. Not going to be able to be stopped.
Yeah, I just like the Bengals as a team. Joe Burrow, they got all their weapons. T. Higgins, Jamar, like we talked about, Joe Mixon. I just like their team. I like how they're set up. I just think they're destined to win this game. Even with the Vikings coming off the bye week, I still don't think they're going to have enough to be able to pull this one out. I'm going to have the Vikings slipping below 500 for the first time this season. Actually, no. Wait, I had them losing week 1, so the second time this season. That moves us into week number 11, where they are hosting the Detroit Lions at US Bank Stadium, November 19th, normal 12 o'clock Central noon game.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's a win for the Vikings. Just the home atmosphere is really what's going to be the decider there, I believe. The Lions were a good, dominant team towards the end of last year. I think they will still be a decent team. I just think the Vikings will have, especially after a couple losses they've had, they will be really wanting to get back and have a good, solid game and play really well that game.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Vikings on that one. I think the Lions are getting stronger, but I don't think they'll be strong enough to overtake us that game.
Give me the Minnesota Vikings. I think both teams are actually, I think if there's going to be a fight in this division, which I actually do think there's going to be this year, I think it's going to be between the Vikings and Lions, as you'll see maybe by my schedule later in the season with how I made it. But I think that this is going to be a win for the Vikings at home. Again, the Vikings barely squeaked it out. KJ Osborne came clutch last year to win the game. Vikings should be able to win this one, even though I definitely like the Lions. They're a feisty team with Dan Campbell. They won 6 out of their last 7 games, I believe, to close out the season, as well as winning in Lambeau, which was great. Loved that game. But yeah, I think it's going to be a win. I think it's going to be a pretty close game, though. Definitely a competitive Lions team. That moves us into, I believe, our fourth primetime game of the season, November 26th, hosting the New Orleans Saints on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a win for us. I mean, Saints now have Derek Carr, that new one, Alvin Kamara. I think he's getting towards the end of his years. I just don't think the Saints are as good as they once were, and I think they will fall to us, and I think we will beat them by probably 2-score game. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Vikings on that one. I think it'll be they'll kind of run away with it. The Saints are going to have to start rebuilding here soon. I am surprised that they haven't started yet. I think they will in the next year or two, but yeah, they're not going to be a great team next year, and I don't think that they're going to be able to beat us.
Yeah, I don't like the position that the Saints are in right now, really. And also, when we look at the schedule, so far I have them 0-3 in primetime games. So this would be their fourth loss if they were to lose. But I'm going to give the Vikings the win here. I think Kevin O'Connell, especially if this is the way the schedule were to play out, is definitely going to emphasize we can't lose for a fourth time on primetime national television. So I think he's definitely going to emphasize we need to come out ready in this game. So I like the Minnesota Vikings to pick up their first primetime win of the season against the New Orleans Saints. That moves us into our next one, week number whatever it is. Doesn't matter that much, but
week 14.
Week number 14, I have them hosting. Nope,
No,
at the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field.
I believe with the Bears still kind of rebuilding this year, they got new quarter or whatever. I messed that up. I just don't think the Bears will be able to beat the Vikings this year. I think we're gonna sweep them. It's gonna be. I think that'll be a closer game than the home game the Vikings had, but I do believe the Vikings will get a win there.
I'm going to actually switch up, believe it or not. I'm actually going to give the Bears the victory in this game. I know you might think I'm crazy for this, but I said earlier the Bears could be good, but the first game was early in the season. It was in Minnesota. But now that we're getting toward the end, it's still mid to late weeks. But I mean, still we're getting kind of closer to the end of the season. The playoffs are beginning to loom. The Bears probably won't be in the playoff push, but you never know. They could be. I think this is one where the Bears still could be trying to maybe be competitive. If they're not completely out of it by this point, maybe they'll be still trying to win. But I just think this could be an unexpected game. Also, it feels like every year there's always that one game the Vikings are like super expected to win, and then they just come out and can't win. And I think that could be this game. So I'm actually gonna give them a loss to the Chicago Bears on the road. With that being said, did you share a win or loss at all?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Vikings for the win against the Bears again. I think that again the Bears aren't going to be a great team next year. They're still kind of trying to rebuild that offense. So, and their defense isn't great either. So, I think the Vikings are going to come out. They're going to hit the Bears right in the mouth. Probably going to be a 1 or 2 score game.
All right, that is going to move us into our next one on December 10th. It is a West Coast late afternoon game against the Las Vegas Raiders and our old friend Davante Adams.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Vikings for a win here. I think they're gonna go on a roll here towards the late season. They're gonna be winning a couple games, but I also think the Raiders aren't a very strong team. I mean, they're still a decent team, but I don't think they will be able to beat the Vikings and kind of Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins. I think they'll just tear them apart this game.
This is a really interesting game here, especially if the Raiders are making a possible playoff push, even though they're kind of like rebuilding. They went all in, it didn't work. Now they kind of got to push the rebuild button. But maybe the Raiders are going to be in a decent spot by that point. But I don't know. I just think, especially after I had them losing to the Bears the previous week, they're definitely going to come out. There's going to be an emphasis on we have to win this game with us. I believe I have them below 500 or maybe at 500. But whatever. I think there's going to be pressure for them for us to make the playoffs. This is a game you have to win. So I think they're going to come out ready to win that game.
Yeah, I too think that the Vikings are going to beat the Raiders in this one. Josh Jacobs and Davante Adams are a pretty lethal pair, but I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be able to pull it off against us. So I'm going to take the Vikings in that one.
That is going to move us into our next game on December 17th. That would be week number 15, hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, former team of Tom Brady, at US Bank Stadium, normal noon, 12 o'clock Central game.
Yeah, I think the Vikings will run away with this one again here. Without Tom Brady, the Buccaneers don't have a whole lot of weapons. I mean, they got Mike Evans there. Baker Mayfield is the quarterback, so I don't know how that'll go. But I do think the Vikings will get that one pretty easily.
I think the Bucks, I don't think are going to be that good this year. They're just they got Baker Mayfield or otherwise Kyle Trask if they rolled with him. And then, but yeah, I don't think the Bucks are really going to have it in them, especially with me giving them a win to the Raiders. putting them, I think, right around 500. I still have them. So this is going to be a very important game for them to win against a Bucks team that's probably not going to be in the postseason this year.
Yeah, I also think that the Vikings are going to take this one away. The Bucks aren't going to be anything without Tom Brady, and so they're going to probably have to start rebuilding here soon as well.
With that being said, we are now moving into our final 3 games of the season. The playoff push is real. I think we all have them approximately around 500 or so. So with that said, it's the final stretch, and I won't lie, it's a pretty tough stretch. Starting it off, Christmas Eve versus the Green Bay Packers at US Bank Stadium, late afternoon game. Boy, would this be a fun game. Packer Vikings, Christmas Eve. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
The Packers team, I don't think they're going to be very dominant this year. I don't even know if the Packers will get to 500 this year. It depends on how everything plays out with them. But I think in US Bank, just the atmosphere on Christmas Eve, especially if the Vikings do like that whiteout theme again for Christmas Eve, that'd be really cool. I think with just like if they did that for that atmosphere, I think we would run away with this. And I think it'd be probably a 3-score game in that. I think we just kind of demolish the Packers there.
Yeah, I also don't think the Packers are going to be great next year. I think the Vikings will be able to run away with this one, just because of the atmosphere of US Bank Stadium.
I'm also going to go with the victory in this game. Like I said, the Packers could be scrappy, but I also don't really think so. They're just in such a weird spot, especially with the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers has been holding them hostage, even though he said he doesn't want to hold them hostage. He is. Who knows? He's a weird guy. But I'm going to give the Vikings the win in this game. They definitely should be able to win this one. For me, that puts them at 3 victories in the row. 3 victories in a row, not the row. I don't know why I said that. But with 3 wins in a row, they are now beginning to make a push for the 6 or 7 seed, whatever they're at. But I'm going to dampen emotions with a toughie on Christmas. Nope. New Year's Eve at the Philadelphia Eagles, Sunday night, Lincoln Financial Field.
This one may surprise you, but I see the Vikings somehow winning this, like they did with against the Bills last year. They weren't supposed to win that at all, but I think the Vikings will be like kind of on a streak here. It'll be a hot streak. They'll find a small way to win this. I'm guessing it's gonna be very close, very competitive game, but I think they will just squeak by with this. Another fourth quarter comeback win from Kirk Cousins. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I got a strong feeling that it's going to be exactly the opposite. I think the Eagles are going to be incredibly dominant in this game. That incredible O line with the AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts connection. I apologize, I forgot his name for just a second. The Jalen Hurts AJ Brown connection with that amazing offensive line. They're gonna have a heck of a time playing against that offense. Oh my goodness, that defense is good. Holy crap. So I'm going to take the Eagles in that one.
Yeah, it's hard to say much other than I think this game is probably going to be a whooping, to be honest. I think that this game, the stars align kind of like the Packer game did at the end of the season last year. Second to last game of the year. In that game, the Vikings were coming off that victory against the Indianapolis Colts. Hopes were high. They can knock the Packers out of the playoffs with a victory. But then they came out and absolutely they were just awful in that game. And to me, this game could almost be the same. I have them at 3 victories in a row coming into this one. They feel we could be hitting the playoffs right now. Philadelphia Eagles are probably going to be in the running for the NFC East Championship if they haven't locked it up already by this point. So I definitely think the Eagles are going to be able to win this game. And I think they're probably going to whoop the Vikings. This is going to be one where Viking fans are going to be really excited. We could win on prime time. Huge game in Philly, and then they're going to get the socks blown right off them. That's what I think this game could be. So definitely an L for me, definitely an L for him. Big Lou thinks could be a Buffalo type win.
Well, if you think about it, if they have their division locked up, are they going to risk their players too as well? If it's that late in the season, are they going to risk Jalen Hurts, all those
maybe
guys?
the 1 seed still in play though. Well, it could be locked up,
but if they're pretty well locked up,
if the 1 seed,
it'd
be pretty tough to lock up the 1 seed by week 16. Well, by 17 after 16.
Yep, but still, you think maybe they might rest some people there. That could be part of the reason, but I do think they will squeak that.
All right. With that being said, we're heading into the final week of the season. But before that, we're all going to share what our record is and just how we're feeling so far about the team.
Up until this point, I have the Vikings as 10-6, and for their next game, I'm actually going to have them winning that one. So I'll have their final record at 11-6. I think that they're going to be competitors in the wild card for sure.
Yeah, I'm at 11-5 at this point in time, but I think they will fall to the Lions that last game. I think even if they beat the Eagles, they'll be like on such a like, yeah, we won this, and then they'll go down like, oh, we fell. We were like coming too confident to the game, and they're just gonna fall. Even if they do lose to the Eagles, I think they'll just fall to the Lions. Just they'll be out of it on the last game of the season. And depending on how they have it locked up, depends on how they may play. They may sit players, depends on everything there too.
I currently have them at 9-7, so I have them slightly less. I think, again, with the current state of this division, we know the Bears probably aren't going to be division contenders this year. Lions could be, Vikings could be, Packers could be, but more than likely not. But I guess who knows? That's why I purposely, when I made the schedule, I put our final game of the season at the Detroit Lions to create a potential scenario where the Vikings and Lions could be playing for the division to close out the season. So, like I said, I have them at 9-7. I definitely haven't taken a step back this year, but well, actually, we're just going to talk a little about this game, and then we can win. Well, we already kind of shared our final record. I didn't, but we'll just talk a little bit about it. So, final game of the season, November. Wait, what? Oh, I didn't change the date when I must have moved these around. Whenever the week after December 31st, so that'd be January 6th. So January 6th, I have them closing the season out at the Detroit Lions. Late afternoon game, potentially division on the line. I think this could be a really, really entertaining game.
Yeah, as I kind of said before, I think they're gonna lose that game, especially if they had beaten the Eagles the week before. There's gonna be on like, yeah, we won this, but then they're just gonna fall short and just play terrible. So
Yeah, I got the Vikings winning this one just because I don't really think the Lions are going to be outstanding next year. I think the Vikings, at this point, kind of have the NFC North locked up.
Okay. I am actually going to give a loss, and I'm going to give the Detroit Lions, believe it or not, I'm going to give the Lions the NFC North Championship via head-to-head tiebreaker because of that game. But even at 9-8, now I moved them up to or down to 9-8. They still could be on the running, maybe for a number 7 seed. Otherwise, they might be the first team out. Maybe they'll be like the Philadelphia Eagles were back in 2021. Yeah, that was the year 2021 when they were the 7 seed and they barely snuck in the playoffs, even though it was like a rebuild year for them. I'm not calling this a rebuild for the Vikings, but it is definitely a reset. You can tell based on the schedule, based on the roster moves they've made. So I have them at 9-8. These guys have them at 11 and nope. What is it? 12-6? 11-6.
Yeah,
you're right. So they have them at 11-6. I have them at 9-8. So that was the schedule. Anyone got a final thought before we move on to the final segment that we have? New one.
I'm realizing here you have the Vikings going 5-1 in the division. Or
I do.
Yeah, 5-1.
Yep.
I don't know if that's ever happened in Vikings history, but I think that'd be incredibly difficult for the Vikings to do.
You guys want to learn something crazy cool? The Detroit Lions went 5-1 last year in the division.
Really?
Yes. The only team they lost to was in Minnesota.
Wow.
Otherwise, they beat Minnesota. The other, at home for them, and then they swept Green Bay, and they also swept Chicago.
Wow.
Some people just don't realize that. Like, it's kind of crazy. They went 5-1 in the division last year.
Even not great teams can do that.
Yeah.
One more thing that I have to say. Remember, guys, get your texts in if you want to be a part of the podcast next week. You still have a chance to be a part of that. So text in right now, and you can be a part of that podcast next week.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't get anyone that texts in today, we can post things out on social media. I will post on the Twitter and the private Snapchat story and everything. We're good. So, yeah.
That might be someone would call me, because if they call me, it comes out. Just a quick play again. Oh, yeah, no, it's back.
We thought our stream went out here for a minute, so we had to go check on it, but we're back and good now.
You should Sam, you should just repeat what you said in case anything cut out. Just
Okay, yeah.
Just
So in
the
case
last
that cut
thing.
out, there's been no one that's texted in yet. You still have a chance to be a part of our podcast next week. All you have to do is text in with your name, and we'll let you be a part of our podcast. You can make 2 predictions, along with our 2 predictions that we are each going to make. And so, yeah, if no one texts in today, we'll put stuff out on social media. Big Lou will put it out on Instagram. I'll put it out on Twitter, and I will put it out on the private Snapchat story. Hit me up if you want to be a part of that as well. But yeah,
With that being said, we are heading into the final segment of today's show, which is one that we will begin doing, I would think, every week from now on. We don't really have a name for it. It's just our prediction segment is what we're going to call it for now. So what is going to happen is each of us has made 2 Vikings or football related predictions. We're each going to go around the table in 2 laps. We're each going to share our predictions, and we have made a spreadsheet on our computer throughout now and forever. Well, now and however long the future is, we are going to keep track of it and see overall who can make the best predictions over time. So this is not just predictions that are going to be off the board between now and next week. Some of these predictions could be a long time, but yeah, over time they're going to pile up. This is the idea we have. And yeah, so with that being said, if you guys are on next week, again, you're just going to make 2 predictions, Vikings or football related predictions, and then we're going to have all the listeners together. They're just going to be their own section. We're going to have listeners versus him versus me and him, So that is how it's going to work. So, with that being said, who would like to kick us off?
I can go first. All right. Okay, so my first prediction is that Dalvin Cook will be picked up by the Bills, or he will be traded to the Bills. So I think this just makes too much sense. The Bills are in a bad running back situation. His brother James Cook plays for the Bills. I mean, in my opinion, it makes too much sense for Dalvin Cook to go to the Bills. So that's going to be my first prediction.
So, also, what I think should be done is we should put an end date on the prediction. Say he will be on the Bills between now and this date. Otherwise, technically, it could be on for eternity. So that's what I think is we should set an end date for that.
So
You can say like between now and week 1 or something,
say,
or if you want to change the time.
Or like first
I'll
preseason
say
game.
by season start.
Okay, so that was his first prediction. You want to go next, or you want me to go next?
I can go next. I think Justin Jefferson will get 2,000 receiving yards here. He was close neck last year, or this past season. But I do have a concern that I think he may get injured this year. Because, like with what happened to Adrian Peterson, he had a good season, he got injured, and then he came back and had an even better one. But I think there's a good possibility. I mean, Anthony says, and I think the Vikings would be not very good without Justin Jefferson. But I think Justin Jefferson may get injured this year, which would be unfortunate. But I do believe if he does not get injured, he will get the 2,000 receiving yards.
I think he definitely could get 2,000, but I think he could get 2,000 if they would need to add another receiver. I think that's not KJ. We already kind of hashed out last week. KJ's a number 3. I just don't think he can really be a number 2. He's definitely very good. He flourishes as a 3, but I just don't know if he quite can step up as a 2 effectively. So I think they need to look to the draft. But if they get a speedy receiver, or if they get a guy like Josh Downs, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, we talked about them a little bit last week, then I feel like that could open up coverage on Justin Jefferson, because now they have 2 good receivers that the defenses have to focus on rather than just Justin Jefferson. And then KJ Osborne too, because he's definitely good. So after I take my sip of water, I'm going to make my first prediction. So my prediction is kind of assuming that they get a contract extension with Justin Jefferson between now and week 1, even though I'm assuming they will, because I don't see any reason why they won't. It'll definitely be a priority for them this offseason. So my first prediction is that Justin Jefferson's next contract will be $33 million plus in average annual value. So if you don't know what that means, let's just say a player gets 3 years, $84 million. Let's just say that's his contract. Then the average annual value would be $28 million. You just take the total number of money divided by the years. Even though that's not necessarily how the contract works because there's a whole bunch of factors and stuff. But average annual value wise, Justin Jefferson's next contract will be at least $33 million.
Okay. So my second prediction is that Aaron Rodgers will be announced as part of the Jets by May 1st.
Okay. So you're just saying Aaron Rodgers will be a member of the Jets between now and May 1st?
Rodgers will be announced as signing with the Jets. He'll be traded to the Jets by May 1st.
Okay. Interesting one. I was actually going to make an Aaron Rodgers related prediction, but then I found out he was going to, so I scrapped the idea.
Well, I did make an Aaron Rodgers one. I think whatever team he will go to, they will not be above 500 this year. Whether he stays with the Packers, goes to the Jets, or another team, I don't think he will be. Or he still is good enough to lead that team to a above 500 record. I think he's getting to the end of his time, and he's just kind of washing out.
To make it very clear here, that was Big Lou's second prediction, was that Aaron
Yes.
Rodgers, the team he plays for next year, whether it's the Packers or the Jets or somewhere else, his prediction is that the team will be under 500, which will make it clear that that is his official
Yes,
prediction.
that is my prediction.
So, when his prediction with Aaron Rodgers, I don't think it's going to be smooth sailing waters because we've seen that the Jets are not interested in giving up like a first because he's like 39, 40 years old. They're not interested in giving up super high compensation for Rodgers, who's going to be decent for maybe a year, 2, 3, but no more than that. He's 39, as we can see here. But the Packers seem to be very intent on he's still an MVP level quarterback. We need a first and more. So I think it's not just going to be it happens with the snap of fingers. I think there could be some turmoil between the two sides. I don't think it's just going to be as simple as next week he's going to be a member. I think for sure between now and the draft, I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's going to be some issues to work through with the teams. And either way, maybe the Jets don't even have to trade for him at all. They would still be. Maybe they can look to even draft a. Imagine that. Imagine they say goodbye to Rodgers and then they draft a quarterback and then the Packers are stuck with him. That would actually be amazing.
That would be ideal.
That would
be
That
funny.
would be ideal.
For the Vikings, it would be ideal if Rodgers stayed because they give him like $50 million per year now with that extension he signed last offseason. I believe it was 3 years, if I remember correctly. So this year and next year, they're still paying him huge money, but he's not a $50 million quarterback. So I think it would be, 3-year, 150.
150. $50 million a year.
So yeah, this is why I think it'd be best for the Vikings if Rodgers stayed with the Packers.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are going to rejoice when he's gone, but I'm going to say, shoot, that means the Packers are actually taking a step in the right direction. But with that said, I'm going to now move into my second and final prediction. We're always going to have 2 predictions, unless maybe someday we'll up it to 3, but who knows. My prediction, the Minnesota Vikings will trade in the division exactly twice in the draft. So I think we saw it last year. They did twice. No, I think we did see it twice. We saw it with the Packers, and then did they trade with? I believe they traded with the Lions in draft. Oh, to be clear on my prediction, I'm talking about during the draft. So I'm not saying right now the Vikings are going to trade for Aaron Rodgers and give away a draft pick. That's not how it works. It has to be on draft day. Players can be involved, but it will be on draft day, the 3 draft days. There will be exactly 2 trades within the division, whether it's Packers, Lions, Bears. But yeah, the Vikings did that last year with the Packers. Then the Vikings, yeah, that was how they got Christian Watson. Then I believe the pick they got back from the Packers is what they used to draft Andrew Booth. Then I feel like they traded with the Lions too, unless I'm just dumb. But whatever. So that is my second and final prediction: is the Vikings will trade in division exactly twice during the draft this year. So with that being said, that closes us out. Unless anyone has final thoughts.
So to clarify this, are you saying exactly twice or like over or under twice?
Exactly
twice.
They will trade exactly 2 times.
Okay.
If they trade just once, it's wrong. If they trade 3 times, it's wrong. They will trade exactly 2 times during the draft with a team in the division. So, anyone else got a final thought before we close out today's episode?
I do not.
I do not as well.
But I will say that we have a winner for next week. So our winner is Matt, and I'm assuming that's Matt Larson.
Yeah, let me know. I'm sure you're watching the comments. Matt, yeah, just let me know.
So
I'm assuming that was you.
Congratulations, Matt. We will call you during the stream next week, and then
Yeah.
you'll be able to make 2 predictions of your own. So make sure to write those up.
So make sure you get 2 predictions. I would say write probably 3, just in case any of them get sniped. We didn't have that problem today. But just in case any of yours get stolen, make sure you have some extras. So I'd say write 3, make 3 predictions for next week. So that is going to do it for this episode today. Thank everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching today's stream. That was our mock schedule, and then our record predictions, and our predictions, our I don't know, written predictions. We'll think of a name for that segment at some point.
Stay tuned for next week. We will be having a trivia section next week.
Yes,
That should be interesting. We'll have a point total between the 3 of us. It'll be an interesting way to do it. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, with that being said, yeah, I see you, Matt. You just won, believe it or not. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, share it with all your friends if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the other channel, or you can subscribe to this one if you want to. I don't really care. Subscribe if you're new. We will see you guys next week, hopefully on the other channel. But as always, follow the different social pages where we will let you know. Thanks for watching. Have a good night, everybody. Peace out. SKOL Vikings. Boom, baby. That's what we're talking about.